I received a call that Tier B3 was going off, so I told the lieutenant, call the rest of the crew and tell them to meet on Tier B3 with the riot gear right away. I was going to show these jokers, who was running this thing now, and just as well start with B3, as anywhere. I took this job seriously. To me, it was do or die. My thinking was, if the police can put them in jail, someone can then handle them. And right now, that someone is me. I had been in the jail about 20 minutes and wasn't ready to leave and go back to the juvenile prison in Joliet, where I had just transferred from. I arrived at Tier B3 about the same time as the rest of my crew. Most of them were what you would call ready to rumble. They had their clear plastic helmets on, the wide see-through type arm shields, billy clubs, and some of them had gas grenades. They looked real ready, all 15 of them. I walked up to the bars where a large number of inmates were standing around. They all stopped and talking and beating on the bars to see what I had to say. I had noticed some of the inmates were close to the hall door, which would make it easy to get to their cells, just in case they could not make their stand hold us off. When inmates make a stand against the staff and things get too hot, the inmates retreat to their cells, meaning they give up. My observation told me that only about 10 or so of these dudes wanted to make a stand against us, and the rest were going along because they feared the barn boss and his gang more than us. I told the jail officer in charge of B3, open the doors and let us in. I continued, I am the new chief in this jail, and everyone is going to follow my orders, and if they didn't, I would do what I had to do. Right now, you cats go to your house, which we called their cells, and lock it up. Then if some of you want to talk, I'll come back when I get some time. Then I said in a loud voice, everyone get in your cells. One of my men asked me,
do you want a club or a shield?
I was glad he asked so I could show off a little. I was an ex-professional fighter and one hell of street fighter, with fists so hard I didn't use bag gloves to punch the sandbag, so I told him in a loud voice, I don't need that stuff for these chumps. We rushed into the tier. As we hollered, get in your cells. A lot of confusion took place at the back of the day room, and a jam up at the hall door kept a lot of the 70 or so men from getting back to their cells. Some of the inmates tried to make a stand and fight and were handled by the crew. I ordered to the inmates, everyone in the day room, sit on the floor if you are not involved. Most of the men sat down immediately. All those that didn't sit were made to sit down against the bars. We then took them to their cells 4 or 5 at a time. After gaining control of the tier, I sat down with the inmates and listened to some of their complaints about various jail shortcomings, such as not enough recreation, food, sheets, and blankets. Some of the men had no mattresses, towels, or anything else to let them tell it. After checking into some of the complaints, I found most to be valid. I recognized some inmates who had been under my supervision when they were teenagers and assured them that things would get better in a hurry if I stayed here for a while. The jail officer assigned to Tier B3 and who was also assigned to Tier A3 told me, you should not have any problems out of A3 because they saw what had happened on B3 and didn't want any trouble. The ones you have to worry about are downstairs on the first floor. He continued,
I know you came to break up the barn boss system, but those guys on the first floor and all up and down the C&D block are some real bad dudes. Sir, I hope you can handle them. I heard about you before you all came.
He also stated,
they said they had something for you.
I told the jail officer, don't worry about it. If they can't turn into the Hulk or Superman, I am going to lock up every barn boss in the jail in a matter of time, as soon as I find out who they are. The barn boss and his honchos will go. For more stories about how English and his crew overtake the Cook County Jail from the barn bosses and their honchos, check out his memoirs in the book series Cook County Jail Barn Boss and Warden Story. Also like and subscribe to our channel for even more tales of action, bravery, and strategy that turned chaos into order.